The AI voice on Mercy's Edge always sounded a little too pleased when announcing emergencies involving Class 7 patients. Lana Castile had observed this quirk over her 3 years stationed aboard the massive intergalactic medical facility. It wasn't a glitch in the programming, more like a feature, reflecting the collective attitude of the station's administrators. Emergency alert. Class 7 trauma incoming. Bay 14. Estimated arrival, 4 minutes. Dr. Lana Castile looked up from her datapad, where she'd been reviewing the morning's surgical schedule. Her eyes met those of Nurse Mael, whose luminescent patches flickered anxiously across their pale blue skin. Class 7. Human. Like Lana herself. "Shall I prepare the comfort care kit?" Mael asked, their voice barely audible over the pulsing alert tones. Lana sighed. "Let's wait for vitals before jumping to conclusions. Protocol 847 Delta isn't mandatory until we confirm critical status." Protocol 847 Delta. The euphemism still made her stomach turn 3 years into her posting. In the sterile language of Mercy's Edge regulations, it translated to no aggressive treatment for Class 7 apex predators. In practice, it meant humans often died from treatable conditions, while the station's resources were directed elsewhere. Lana's communicator chimed. Chief Physician Arhaz was calling. Perfect timing, as always. "Dr. Castile," came the crystalline voice, resonating at harmonics that made her inner ear itch. "I notice you're responding to the Class 7 alert. Remember your boundaries." Rahaz, like all Vithrons, was a bipedal crystalline entity whose thought processes operated on principles of pure logic. Their species considered emotion an evolutionary disadvantage, one that humans possessed in excess. "I'm simply triaging, Chief Physician," Lana replied, keeping her tone neutral. "As the only Class 7 specialist on duty, it's within my purview." "Triage only," Rahaz emphasized. "Protocol 847 Delta stands ready. I'll be monitoring." The communication ended with a sharp click. Lana exhaled slowly, noticing that Mael's bioluminescent patches had shifted to a deep purple. Fear. "They always watch you so closely," Mael whispered, their 4 delicate hands organizing supplies with practiced efficiency. "The privilege of being an apex predator," Lana replied with a wry smile. "Come on, let's see what we're dealing with." They moved quickly through the crystalline corridors of Mercy's Edge. The station was a marvel of engineering, orbiting a neutral gas giant at the crossroads of 7 different species territories. Its transparent walkways and iridescent healing chambers were designed to accommodate patients from across the known galaxy. A place of wonder and hope, unless you happened to fall into certain classifications. Medical staff parted as Lana passed. Some nodded respectfully. She'd earned a reputation as a skilled surgeon, but many averted their compound eyes or sensory appendages. The Class 7 designation followed her like a shadow. Trauma Bay 14's doors slid open, revealing organized chaos. A medical transport was docking at the external airlock. Through the reinforced viewport, Lana could see emergency responders transferring a patient, a human in colonial marine armor. "Vitals," Lana called out, stepping to the primary monitoring station. A Zenek medical technician, whose translucent body pulsed with data streams, responded promptly. Blood pressure dangerously low, heart rate elevated, then crashing. Oxygen saturation at 68% and falling. Patient identified as Commander Saren Valdez, Colonial Marines. Toxin exposure during diplomatic security detail on Valran Outpost. Lana's training kicked in. Prepare full support. Ventilator standing by. Cross-species blood processor. Neural interface for immediate. "Dr. Castile." The harmonics of Rihaz's voice cut through the bay like a laser. The chief physician stood in the doorway, their crystalline body refracting the emergency lights in prismatic patterns. "This appears to be a critical case," Arhaz stated, moving to the monitoring station. "Protocol 847 Delta is in effect. Comfort care only." The transport doors opened, Medical personnel rushed Commander Valdez into the bay on a hovering stretcher. The Marine's face was ashen, lips turning blue, body convulsing slightly as the toxin worked its way through vital systems. "Chief Physician," Lana said carefully, "preliminary scans suggest the toxin is treatable. With aggressive intervention, the protocol exists for a reason." "Dr. Castile," Rahaz interrupted. "Class 7 species consume disproportionate resources. The good of the many outweighs the needs of apex predators. You know this." Lana felt her pulse quicken. She'd played this game before, navigating the bureaucracy, finding loopholes, stretching definitions to save patients that protocol declared expendable, but rarely with Rahaz directly supervising. "Station regulations permit a 20-minute assessment window before enforcing comfort care," she countered. "I'd like to use that time to determine exact toxicology." Rahaz's crystalline form shimmered, the Vithron equivalent of annoyance. "Granted, 20 minutes. Then Protocol 847 Delta will be enforced." The chief physician moved to the observation area, a silent sentinel ensuring compliance. Lana turned to Mail, whose patches now pulsed with rapid yellows and blues, anxiety and concern. "Run a full toxicology panel. Priority clearance." As the nurse hurried to comply, Lana approached Commander Valdez. The Marine was unconscious, breathing shallow and irregular. A quick scan revealed extensive organ infiltration from an unknown compound. "Commander Valdez," Lana said softly, knowing the Marine couldn't hear. "I'm Dr. Lana Castile. We're going to figure this out." She worked methodically, gathering data, running diagnostics, searching for patterns in the toxin's behavior. 17 minutes remained before protocol would force her to abandon treatment. Mail returned, their bioluminescence now a steady crimson of alarm. "Toxicology complete," they whispered, leaning close to Lana. "It's designed for Class 7 physiology, specifically human metabolic pathways." Lana's blood ran cold. "Engineered?" Mail nodded. "With 99% certainty. This wasn't a random exposure. It was targeted, designed to kill humans while leaving other species unharmed." The implications were staggering. "Chief Physician," Lana called out, "I have reason to believe this toxin is an engineered bioweapon specifically targeting humans. Protocol 847 Delta should be suspended in cases of suspected genocide." Rahaz approached, towering over the examination table. "Your evidence?" "Toxicology shows the compound binds exclusively to Class 7 neural receptors and metabolic enzymes. This level of specificity indicates deliberate design." The crystalline being studied the data, faceted eyes, reflecting the emergency lights. "Interesting theory, Dr. Castile, but insufficient to override protocol. The toxin could be naturally evolved. Many substances affect specific species more severely than others." 14 minutes until protocol enforcement, the station AI announced pleasantly. Lana felt desperation rising. Commander Valdez's vitals continued to deteriorate. The Marine would die without intervention, becoming another statistical entry in the station's efficient record-keeping. Class 7. Comfort care. Deceased. She needed a different approach. "Chief Physician, I request permission to attempt an experimental procedure," Lana said, straightening to her full height. "A directed antibody transfusion, my own blood, processed through the cross-species filter." Rahaz's crystalline form flickered with surprise. "You propose using yourself as a treatment vector? For what purpose?" "Human antibodies may neutralize the toxin, as the only compatible donor immediately available. I volunteer." Lana kept her voice steady, professional. "It's a minimal resource expenditure. One portable processor, one collection kit. The procedure falls within my certification." "This is highly irregular," Rahaz responded, harmonics shifting to lower frequencies. "And a clear circumvention of Protocol 847 Delta's intent. The protocol specifies disproportionate resource allocation," Lana countered. I'm proposing the use of my own biological resources, freely given. Station regulations permit medical staff to volunteer as donors in emergency situations. A moment of silence stretched between them. Lana could feel Miles' anxiety radiating through their bioluminescent patches. 9 minutes until protocol enforcement, the AI chirped. Request denied. Rahaz finally stated. Prepare comfort care. I will personally oversee the procedure to ensure compliance. The chief physician turned away, moving toward the medication dispenser. Lana caught Miles' eye and mouthed silently, Field kit, processor, locker C. The nurse's patches flashed with understanding. They slipped quietly from the trauma bay, while Lana continued monitoring Commander Valdez. Chief physician, she called, buying time. I'd like to review the commander's service record. It may provide insight into previous exposures or treatments. As Rahaz, grudgingly, accessed the records, Lana discreetly interfaced with the bay's diagnostic system. She wasn't just searching for medical history. She was looking for patterns in the toxin's behavior, something that might explain its origin. A hidden data file caught her attention. It had been flagged, and then buried in the diagnostic system, a security breach report from 6 weeks earlier. Someone had accessed the station's xenobiology database, specifically the section on human physiology. The access had been traced to a terminal on Valran Station, the same outpost where Commander Valdez had been exposed. This wasn't random. It was calculated. Someone had used Mercy's Edge's own data to create a weapon, knowing the station's protocols would ensure human victims received minimal care. Miles returned, catching Lana's eye. A slight nod confirmed the supplies had been secured. 5 minutes until protocol enforcement, announced the AI. Lana made her decision. She would not let Commander Valdez die to satisfy a discriminatory protocol, especially one being exploited by those with genocidal intent. Chief physician, she said formally. I need to check the commander's lower extremities for toxin-related tissue damage. Standard procedure. Rahaz, still reviewing records, merely nodded. Lana moved to the foot of the bed, positioning herself between Commander Valdez and the bay's main monitoring station. With practiced ease, she slipped the portable neural interface headset from her pocket and placed it on her head, activating it with a subtle gesture. The device connected her directly to the bay's systems, giving her control without needing to physically access the main console. Through her neural link, she disabled the alert that would normally sound when an unauthorized procedure began. Next, she needed to create a distraction. Chief physician, Lana called out. These readings show possible cardiac involvement. Would you examine these rhythms? As Rahaz moved to the head of the bed, Lana nodded to Miles, who slipped the compact cross-species blood processor from beneath their medical smock and quickly connected it to the commander's IV port. Lana felt a flutter of fear. What she was about to do violated direct orders. It could end her career, possibly lead to criminal charges. But the alternative, standing by as a patient died from a treatable condition, violated everything she believed in as a physician. 2 minutes until protocol enforcement, the AI announced. I've seen enough, Rahaz declared, turning back toward Lana. Prepare the comfort medications immediately. Of course, Chief Physician, Lana replied calmly. Then, in one fluid motion, she inserted the collection needle into her own arm and activated the processor. Rahaz froze, crystalline form flashing with shocked frequencies. Dr. Castile, what are you doing? Saving my patient, Lana replied, feeling the pull as her blood began flowing through the processor and into Commander Valdez. My antibodies should neutralize the toxin. The procedure is already underway. This is a direct violation of protocol. Rahaz's voice resonated at painful harmonics. Security to Trauma Bay 14. Medical intervention in progress. Through her neural interface, Lana monitored both her own vitals and the commander's. The processor was working, filtering her blood, isolating antibodies, returning depleted plasma to her circulation while directing the active components to Valdez. Security droids were already responding, their metallic footsteps echoing in the corridor outside. "Mile," Lana said quietly. "Record everything. Whatever happens, make sure there's evidence." The nurse nodded, patches glowing a steady blue of resolve as they activated their personal recording device. The security droids entered, followed by a Vithron administrator. "Chief Physician Rahaz, what is the nature of the violation?" "Dr. Castile is performing an unauthorized procedure on a Class 7 patient under Protocol 847 Delta restrictions," Rahaz reported. "Terminate the process immediately." The lead droid approached Lana. "Doctor, disconnect from the patient and step away." Lana stood her ground, one arm connected to the processor, the other hand steady on Commander Valdez's wrist, monitoring pulse. "I cannot comply. This patient is being treated for exposure to an engineered bioweapon designed specifically to target humans. I have reason to believe this attack is part of a genocidal campaign." "These are serious allegations," the administrator said, "but they do not override protocol. Security, remove the doctor." The droid reached for the processor controls. Lana moved to block it, but a wave of dizziness swept over her. The blood loss was affecting her faster than she'd anticipated. "Wait!" Mael intervened, stepping between Lana and the droid. Their patches pulsed with unprecedented brightness. "Look at the commander's vitals!" All eyes turned to the monitoring display. Commander Valdez's oxygen saturation was rising. His heart rate had stabilized. Color was returning to his face. "The treatment is working," Lana said, her voice weaker but triumphant. "My antibodies are neutralizing the toxin." Rahaz moved closer to the display, crystalline form shifting with what might have been confusion. "This is unexpected." A sound from the bed drew everyone's attention. Commander Valdez's eyes had opened. He blinked slowly, consciousness returning. "Where?" he began, voice raspy. "Mercy's Edge Medical Station," Lana replied. "You were exposed to a toxin on Valran Station. I'm treating you with a direct antibody transfusion." The Marine's gaze sharpened as he took in the scene. The security droids, the administrator, Rahaz's imposing crystalline form, and finally, the tube connecting Lana's arm to his. "You're using your own blood?" he asked, understanding dawning. Lana nodded, fighting another wave of dizziness. "Only compatible source immediately available." Commander Valdez struggled to sit up. "She's saving my life, and you're trying to stop her?" Protocol 847 Delta prohibits aggressive treatment for Class 7 patients. Rahaz stated, "Resources must be allocated according to—" "She is the resource," Valdez interrupted, his voice gaining strength. "She's giving her own blood. What protocol prohibits a doctor's sacrifice?" The trauma bay doors slid open again. A tall, elegant human woman entered, flanked by a delegation wearing diplomatic insignia. The newcomer surveyed the scene with sharp eyes. "Ambassador Voss," the administrator acknowledged, clearly surprised. "We weren't expecting the diplomatic corps." "Clearly," Ambassador Araya Voss replied coolly. "I see we've arrived just in time. Security, stand down immediately." The droids hesitated, awaiting confirmation from station authority. "Ambassador, this is a medical matter," Raz began. "Protocol 847 Delta is being used to facilitate genocide." Voss finished. She held up a data crystal. "We have evidence that the toxin affecting Commander Valdez was engineered using biological data stolen from this very station. The attack on the commander was a test case for a wider deployment against human settlements." She turned to the administrator. "The Colonial Authority considers this an act of war, one made possible by Mercy's Edge's discriminatory care protocols." The room fell silent. Lana sagged against the bed, the prolonged blood donation taking its toll. Commander Valdez reached out, steadying her with a firm grip. "Dr. Castile's intervention wasn't just ethically correct," Voss continued. It exposed a conspiracy that threatens millions of lives. The Colonial Authority is formally requesting the immediate suspension of Protocol 847 Delta and a full investigation into how station data was compromised. The administrator's complex eyes blinked rapidly. This is unprecedented. We must consult the full board and— Look at them, Mile interrupted, their voice stronger than Lana had ever heard it. Their luminescent patches glowed a fierce, steady gold. A human doctor is collapsing because she gave her blood to save another being's life. If that doesn't move you to immediate action, what will? All eyes turned to Lana, who was now visibly pale, the processor still drawing her blood. Enough, the administrator decided. Disconnect the processor. Get Dr. Castile to treatment immediately. As medical staff rushed to comply, Rahaz approached Lana. The chief physician's crystalline form had dimmed to a subdued glow. You risked your life, Rahaz stated. Harmonics pitched at frequencies Lana had never heard from them before. For a patient you were ordered to let die. It's what doctors do, Lana replied weakly. Or what we should do. As consciousness began to fade, she heard Commander Valdez's voice, strong and clear. Remember this moment. Remember what she did. This is how we change things. Then darkness claimed her. Lana awoke in a recovery pod, the familiar hum of regenerative fields surrounding her. Miles sat nearby, their patches a calm, contented blue. Welcome back, the nurse said, smiling. You've been unconscious for 26 hours. Lana blinked, memories rushing back. Commander Valdez? Fully recovered, Mile replied. Your antibodies neutralized the toxin completely. He's been asking about you. Lana tried to sit up, finding herself weaker than expected. And the consequences? I violated direct orders from the chief physician. Male's patches flickered with amusement. That's complicated. You might want to prepare yourself for some changes. Before Lana could ask for clarification, the recovery room door opened. Ambassador Voss entered, followed by Commander Valdez, now standing tall in a freshly pressed uniform. Dr. Castile, Voss greeted her, the hero of the hour. How are you feeling? Confused, Lana admitted. I expected to wake up in the brig, not a recovery pod. Commander Valdez smiled. After what you did, the diplomatic incident that would have been astronomical. Your actions exposed a bioweapon plot, Voss explained. The toxin was indeed engineered using data stolen from Mercy's Edge. The thieves counted on Protocol 847 Delta, ensuring their test subject would receive minimal care, hiding their involvement. But they didn't count on you, Valdez added, his expression solemn. You saved more than just my life, Dr. Castile. You prevented a genocide. Lana absorbed this information slowly. And the protocol? Suspended. Effective immediately, Voss replied with satisfaction. A full review of all species-based treatment protocols is underway. The Intergalactic Medical Ethics Committee has taken a personal interest in the case. The door opened again, admitting Rahaz. The chief physician's crystalline form seemed somehow different, less rigid, the internal light pulsing at gentler frequencies. Dr. Castile, Rahaz greeted her. It appears I owe you an acknowledgement. Lana raised an eyebrow. Just an acknowledgement. A recalibration of perspective. Rahaz amended. The Vithron Collective values logical consistency. Your actions demonstrated a flaw in our algorithmic approach to medical ethics. If the goal of medicine is to preserve life, then denying care based on species classification is inconsistent. Coming from a Vithron, this was tantamount to a profound apology. The collective has approved my request for harmonic recalibration. Rahaz continued. I will be undergoing a procedure to integrate emotional comprehension into my crystalline matrix. It is unprecedented for a Vithron of my position. Lana was speechless. Harmonic recalibration was rarely discussed outside Vithron society, but she knew it was a fundamental restructuring of their crystalline consciousness. That's a significant decision, she finally managed. One necessitated by recent events. Rahaz replied. A physician who cannot comprehend the full scope of sentient experience is incomplete. I wish to address this deficiency. With that extraordinary statement, the chief physician departed, leaving a stunned silence behind. Did that just happen? Lana asked, wondering if she was hallucinating from medication. Mail's patches rippled with delighted colors. The entire station is in shock. No one's seen anything like it. Ambassador Voss smiled diplomatically. Changes are cascading through the system. Your actions created a crack in the foundation. Dr. Castile. Now we can rebuild something better. 6 months later, Lana stood in her new office, gazing out at the gas giant that Mercy's Edge orbited. The swirling storms in its atmosphere reminded her of the tumultuous changes the station had undergone. Protocol 847 Delta had been officially abolished. In its place stood new triage guidelines based on medical need rather than species classification. Lana, now chief of interspecies medicine, had helped draft them herself. A chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Mail, whose patches glowed with professional pride. As head of the newly formed Interspecies Compassion Council, the nurse had developed training protocols that were being implemented across the galactic medical network. The new patient cohort has arrived, Mael reported, including 3 Class 7s who specifically requested Mercy's Edge because of our updated protocols. Lana smiled. Reputation travels fast in interstellar space. Speaking of which, Mael added, Commander Valdez is docking. The liaison office is officially open as of today. After his recovery, Valdez had proposed a permanent colonial marine presence on Mercy's Edge, not as security, but as cultural liaisons bridging the gap between humans and other species. The station administration, still reeling from the diplomatic fallout of the bioweapon incident, had readily agreed. And, Doctor, Mael said, patches flickering with excitement, Chief Physician Rahaz has requested your presence at the completion ceremony. The recalibration is finished. Lana felt a flutter of anticipation. She had only seen Rahaz a handful of times during the lengthy recalibration process. And those brief encounters had been strange. The normally precise Vithron, struggling with new emotional capabilities. Experiencing empathy for the first time. The completion ceremony was held in one of the station's meditation chambers, its crystalline walls designed to amplify harmonic resonances. A small gathering of staff watched as Rahaz emerged from the final treatment. Their form, now subtly different. The internal light warmer. The crystalline edges softer. Colleagues, Rahaz began, their voice harmonics rich with new overtones. I stand before you, changed. The recalibration has given me access to emotional registers previously unknown in Vithron experience. It is overwhelming, beautiful, terrifying. The chief physician turned to Lana. Dr. Castile, your actions 6 months ago revealed a fundamental error in my understanding of medical ethics. Logic without compassion is incomplete reasoning. Efficiency without empathy is not true healing. Rahaz extended a crystalline appendage, the traditional Vithron gesture of profound respect. The new protocols we have implemented together represent not just policy change, but evolutionary advancement. I am grateful to have experienced this transformation. The word grateful resonated through the chamber, its frequencies touching something deep in everyone present. For a Vithron to express gratitude was extraordinary. Emotion had no place in their traditional logical framework. Later, in the station's communal dining area, Lana sat with Mael, Commander Valdez, and Ambassador Voss, watching the diverse species intermingle with a new sense of ease. Sometimes I still can't believe it, Valdez said, gesturing around them. 6 months ago, I would have died under protocol. Now look at this place. The dining area was indeed transformed. Species that had previously segregated themselves now shared tables. Medical staff engaged with patients regardless of classification. In one corner, a human child was showing a fascinated Zenek youth how to play a simple game with colored blocks. "It's still not perfect," Voss cautioned. "Change takes time. There are still those who believe in the old hierarchies. But the foundation has shifted," Mile observed, their patches glowing a serene green. "That's how lasting change begins." Lana watched as Rahaz entered the dining area, hesitated, then deliberately chose a seat at a table with mixed species. The beings already seated looked surprised, but made room for the chief physician. "Would you do it again?" Valdez asked suddenly, turning to Lana. "Knowing everything it would set in motion?" Lana considered the question carefully. Her act of defiance had been spontaneous, born of medical ethics and human compassion. She couldn't have predicted the cascading changes, the diplomatic interventions, the fundamental shifts in station policy. "In a heartbeat," she finally replied. "Some principles transcend protocol. Some moments define who we are." As if on cue, the station's AI announced a new patient arrival, the voice noticeably neutral, without the subtle prejudice that had once colored announcements of Class 7 patients. Lana rose from her seat. "Duty calls." As she moved through the crystalline corridors toward the reception area, she passed the newly installed memorial plaque commemorating the Valdez incident and the abolition of Protocol 847 Delta. The final line of the inscription caught her eye, as it always did. No life should be left to die for prejudice's sake. A simple truth that had required blood, freely given, to finally be understood. In the reception area, a diverse group of patients waited. No color coding separated them by species or threat level. No algorithms determined their worth. Just beings in need, and healers ready to help. Lana Castile, once a lone voice against institutional prejudice, now chief of interspecies medicine, stepped forward to greet the first patient with a simple, revolutionary promise. "Welcome to Mercy's Edge. How can we help you today?"